Chapter 3, the context of the Central Youth United and Participants Profiles from Wright. And from Pine, we have Chapter 3, the paradigm of teacher action research. And our group members are Philip King, Deborah Venegas, Earl Lewis, and Michael Mendez. Wright brings out at the beginning of the chapter gives us a profile of the central neighborhood, which in the 1840s, the neighborhood was housed mostly by low-income immigrant families working in the service industry. The census data, the U.S. Census data, showed that half of central households earned less than 15%. There was a vast economic disparities between central neighborhoods, households as well. Many wealthy executives relocated during the booming of the internet-based companies in the business sector, and now the city boasts of an ever-increasing amount of luxury apartments, while only 40% of the inhabitants are less than 10%. The occupants of the luxury housing, overwhelmingly healthy, have a college degree, are white-born, have no children, and are English speakers. The transformation of these neighborhoods led to the Central Anti-Displacement Coalition. These organizations fought for zoning regulations and for these to be maintained. They would protect residents as well as small businesses. It was understood that developers took advantage of the community's failure and dispute the new buildings. This meant fewer industrial zoning requirements. The background of the Central Youth United program began with a legacy of First Car Project. It involved young people, a youth-led community needs assessment. It was carried out in between 2001 and 2002, conducted by a different group of young people in Central. This was a group of 7 high school students aged 14 through 17 who ignited a multi-year urban planning. After conducting 194 surveys of young people aged 5 through 18, analyzing the data, the first youth-led community needs assessment drew findings, which culminated in these 4 recommendations: construct a new elementary school, build a new park, create a new middle school, and create a youth center. This is again the neat ideas for improvements to save recreational spaces. The research methodology timeline was the understanding of the project's context, setting goals and developing a research question, developing research design, research methodology, focus group, research tools, and developing research skills. They were to create data collection plan and collecting data, organizing the collected data, and analyzing the data. The final report, they were to create a final report, PowerPoint, anything that could be used for a presentation, and present their findings and recommendations at a town hall meeting with an audience of 60 community stakeholders. Their findings was that they needed a safe recreational space for youth. Recreational centers were mostly dominated by adults, and since these were occupied by adults, it would bring violence and it would be unsafe for young people. The team also noticed that the newly built park was open during daylight hours, but it would bring high crime rates and assaults and drug trafficking, coupled with the extensive police harassment. They found it through this data analysis, the team found a pattern of young people's displacement from recreational spaces in Central. So the team's core recommendations was to create a youth center, provide affordable housing and homeownership programs, create a neighborhood watch initiative, create a high school. And this here, the youths that were involved, they were ethnically diverse group of the community. They were living in low-income housing. There's some examples there. Amira, an 18-year-old Muslim girl, and Alejandra, which was a 60-year-old Mexican-American. They had witnessed episodes of gang violence within the neighborhood. Pages 36 through 40 provide a description of each member, their ethnicity and country, the support and involvement to the project, the guidance of adults, which are also described in these pages, the skills of the adults and the affiliation with other organizations and their involvement. The organizations affiliated with the SYU can be found on pages 41 through 43. And going into PINE, this one was a paradigm of future action research. It brought out the four major research paradigms. Chapter 3 begins with giving us a definition of the word, which comes from a Greek, but it's meaning a pattern model or a plan. And the paradigm is what is shared between the scientific community. The first one was the empirical, which was the most established in the models. The goals of inquiry were definition, prediction, control, explanation, and this was revealed through experience and experiments. Adherents of this paradigm believe that if something exists, it can be measured. It seeks to explain changes through reality and control experimentation. Some consider this paradigm to be the antithesis of the principles of action research. The second one was a constructivist. It reflects the beliefs that humans individually and collectively construct reality. Social reality is constructed through these individuals that participate. The emphasis was put on the need to put analysis in context, presenting interpretations. The human beings were the primary instruments, rejecting the mathematical model. It focuses on understanding the nature of this constructed reality with multiple perspectives, emphasizing roles in gender, cultural context, and other factors. Within this model, you have many different anthropological and sociological methodologies, especially human observation, have been adopted. The third one was the critical theory, which relates to a concern with questions of power. It values the system that is used in scientific inquiry. Inquiry is a political act. Proponents view themselves as forces of emancipation engaged in conflict with powers of oppression. The goal of inquiry is to empower those who are not in political power, to see their oppression so that they can transform the world. The practice, being an art of acting, is the art of acting on the conditions that one faces in order to change. And they the proponents seek to deconstruct the text of educational products or programs and the exclusion of minorities. The last one, the fourth one, is the elective, which is the most recent of all to be emerged. It refers to the borrowing of the methods of the other three paradigms to collect information and solve complex problems. It's a mixed method research, formally designed as a class of research where the researcher mixes or combines quantitative and qualitative research techniques or approaches. The mixed methods is linked to the paradigm of epistemological and methodological pragmatism, most capable of handling the complexity of postmodern society. The mixed method supports triangulation, complementarity, development, initiation, and expansion. Distinguishing characteristics of an action research model is the reflective, critique, and intersubjectivity. There's two types of this. One is personal and one is epistemological. The personal involves reflecting upon the ways in which our own values, experiences, interests, beliefs, political commitments, wider aims in life, and social identities have shaped the research. It also involves about how the research may have affected the possible changed and possibly changed us as people and researchers. The other one requires us to engage with questions such as how does a research question define and limit what can be found? To be reflexive is to be self-aware. The reflective critique in research, there is a move away from objective. Instead, it tries to move researchers to intersubjective. In action research, teacher researchers are continually being transformed, writing journals, processing data, making teachers more aware of themselves in the process they are using. Also, it brings out the exology in the context. The exology deals with the value of the nature of value and captures the value of question. It enables people to be involved in making decisions. Inherits in action research is the goal of producing practical, politically, and psychological, educational, and spiritually, and thereby contribute to the flourishing of people and communities. Context focuses on the real life issues and problems at hand. This is an ongoing tentativeness. This is a continuous revision, and it's based on accumulation and observations, reflection, and it's a constant recursion, which it brings out that the research questions are reviewed, reconsidered, and revised along with other new emerging data. It also brings a dialectal critique, and this is, of course, under the distinguishing characteristics of an action research model. It brings out the dialectic critique. This is a way of understanding the relationships between various aspects of our own work. The collaboration, which is, of course, the co-researchers, assumes that each person's ideas are equally significant, as potential resources. Also creates risk. It potentially threatens all previously established ways of doing things. It's risking disturbances, means developing an understanding of our own taken for granted process. It's plurality, multiple views, commentaries, and critiques. Many occupants are made explicit with commentaries on the contradictions. Many accounts are made explicit with commentaries on their contradictions. Connotation means that you have to avoid giving a definition to a concept of change, such as when we're dealing with topics of teachers, students, and classrooms. Moral, political ethics, and purposes. It evokes congruence between inquiry and service to improve the human condition. Language of action research reflects on moral and political values. The embrace of emotions, that one is great. Emotions and thinking are interconnected with the action research. It is also an intrapersonal process, deeply rooted in emotions about the self, about others, and about the world. All the part of the action research. Now, there is some challenges with the action research. You could become another externally imposed curriculum, reform reflecting on deficit view of teachers and characterized by predetermined objectives and the assumption that teachers must change in pre-established ways to address deficits. It is powerless, even irrelevance, in the face of structural inequality and injustice. And these are the articles for parental involvement. These are the articles that hopefully we'll be using for our research project, where we will talk about the involvement, how to increase the involvement of our parents in our schools. Thank you.